Is Bharti Goyal. I have 15 years of experience in analytics. And today, the agenda for the day is that we would be talking about some advanced level features we have in Excel, how it has actually evolved over the time of period, like since 2007 to 2022. And then we will talk about like how we can do data analysis in Excel at advanced level. Right. So basically, whenever we are doing data analysis, what we do, what are the steps? The steps are that, first of all, we are getting the data from the client. We are cleaning the data. Cleaning as in, for example, there are grammatical errors or spacing errors, spelling errors. We have blank data where there is no value. So it might mean different things. It might means no value or it might mean zero. So we need to fix the data so that we know the data completely. Right? Then the second step would be data transformation. What is data transformation? Data transformation is like, for example, you do not want to go ahead with a single table. You want to create multiple tables. So when you would be breaking your one big table into multiple tables, there should be some connectivity among the tables. Otherwise, you cannot access the data from one table to another one, right? And there can be other kind of transformations as well. So we would be talking about data cleaning. We would be talking about data transformation. Then when we are done with these two steps, we will move to data analysis and we will try to create a report which is fully dynamic. We will try to create a dashboard which is fully dynamic. So this is the agenda for coming 1 hour. So for example, like you can see my screen, there is some data. For example, you got this from the client, right? Now we need to identify, do we need any kind of data cleaning in this, or do we need any kind of data transformation in this or not? So there are two methods in Excel. First of all, we used to do data transformations in Excel using functions and all that, the traditional way of transforming the data. But since 2016, we got Power Query Editor in Excel. And now for all the data cleaning and all the transformation requirements, we are using Power Query Editor in Excel, not the traditional methods. Like, for example, this is the data you have. So what will you do? You will select this data like this. So there is a shortcut also, like Control Shift and down arrow key. And after that, go to Data tab view. And here you will figure out this option. So this is the section which was added in 2016, right? Now I will select from table and range because I want to go to Power Query Editor, or I want to transform my data, which is in a table or a range format. So click on this. It will take you to Power Query Editor, like within 30 to 35 seconds. Now it says, where is your data? So it is showing you the range being selected, which is correct. My table has header. Does it range is having the header? Yes. Say okay. Now it has taken you to Power Query Editor, right? This is the Power Query Editor. So this is the new technology, advanced technology using which we clean the data, we transform the data. Now, do we need any kind of data cleaning? I cannot see any data cleaning requirement in this, but yes, you can see 2010 coming 12 times for each and every month. You can see the same for 2011 or 2012, right? How to organize it. Can we plan it this way that we can take these years in column here? Like here we will have 2010, 11 and 12. This way we do not need to store 2010, 11 and 12 like 12 times. We will be getting the years only once, right? How to do it? Because I want to take my year column in the columns. So I will click on year. In the transform, we have the option pivot column. I clicked on it, then it is asking me what is the value column. My values are in my budget column, budget amount. I selected that, I said, okay. Now see, the year has been moved 2 columns. So basically we have done nothing, but we have created a kind of pivot table within Power Query Editor and we could organize the data. So this is one kind of transformations I was talking about. Right? So one was where I was talking about like you want to create multiple tables from one big table, or probably you can do the reverse thing. You want to or merge your multiple tables into a single table. And this is another type, like you need to fix your data or plan your data like this. So these are kind of data warehousing concepts we have, right? Okay, so this is the kind of transformation. Now, for example, later on you thought, okay, I wanted month here, not the years. I want my years here. So I want to interchange my rows and columns. How to do it? I'm selecting all the years because I want to bring this here. And what I did, I'm saying transpose. Now what happened? My months have gone to the columns, but where are the years? We lost the years. Why we lost the years? Because it was the part of the header, right? What will we do? Now let's talk about this environment, how this environment has been planned, how to undo, right? So there is no control Z working on this screen. Okay, if you want to undo, this is the section applied step. From here, you have to click on this cross and it will be undone. So this applied step section has multiple use cases. Number one, to do undo. Number two, for example, I am working in morning shift. Somebody else is working in the evening shift on the same file. How he or she will get to know what I did in the morning? He can come here and see the steps, steps I did on this data, right? Okay, now how to fix it? How to use transpose? So I have to bring this header one level down, right? Now see, there are two options. Use first row as header. In this case, this first row is moved as a header. And if you look at the second option, use header as first row, then this header will be brought one row down as the first row. So in this case, I will be using another one, second one. Now my header has been moved in one row. Now I would be transposing it, and this time I did not lose the ears because it was not the header. So whenever we are transposing, make sure you remember that we are going to lose our header. We have to take care of that point. Now we need to make this month row again as header. So I will use the first option and this is fixed. So we could transpose in Power Query Editor, right? So this is one kind of example I'm giving to you, right? Whenever I'm making these changes and once I'm done with these, I'm saying close and load. What will happen? Let's see. So this example one was my input sheet from where I went to Power Query Editor. Now, when I clicked on close and load, an output sheet has been created, which is having the output I generated in Power Query Editor, right? Why a separate sheet is created? Because there is a lot of automation involved. What kind of automation? Like for example, in the end of this sheet, I am adding the information for 2013, right? So I'm copying this 12 months as it is for 2013, right? And I got some sales also, like for example, these sales only, right? So it means I have updated my input, I have updated my base data. You can understand this example this way also, like we had the data for quarter one, quarter two. Now the company wants to add the data for quarter three. Any kind of data update you can imagine. Now I'm saving this, coming back to the output, I am doing the refresh and you will notice all the steps, whatever we performed on 2010, 11 and 12 data have been applied automatically on the new data and the output has been updated on a refresh. So this is the automation we have in Power Query Editor. So whenever you are cleaning your data, you are transforming your data, that is one-time effort. Next time, whenever you would be updating your base data and you are just updating the data and clicking refresh, all the data cleaning transformation you have done earlier, that will be applied on the new data automatically, right? So this is one wonderful feature we have, which is automation in Excel. This is the reason a new sheet is created. And if you want to go back again to the Power Query Editor, you will double click on this and it will take you there. So what is the third use of applied steps? I have already covered use number one, use number two. The third use is that all these steps are later on applied again on the new incoming data. So it is behaving like a query. Yes or no? Yeah. So this is a query, guys. It becomes a query. And you can see what is the name of the section? Query settings, because it is a query, right? And here also you can see whatever tables we have imported, they are calling it a query because everything becomes a query in Power Query Editor, right? Now I will save this file and I will show you another example of data cleaning and transformation in Excel. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Now, okay, let me open this. There are some databases, like when you are importing the data from them, they are giving you the data in these formats. This is called JSON format. This is called XML format, right? How to use this, how to analyze this data. Do we have any option? No. What will you do? So we have to make this data in tabular format, like for example, Bharti in this column or Goel in this column and so on, right? Similarly here, I need to make the arrangements like I can figure out ID in one column, then country in one column, division in one column and so on. How to do it? This is not feasible to handle long data this way and transforming it manually, right? Again, I will go to Power Query Editor. And Microsoft has given me an inbuilt capability to handle this kind of data, right? Now, if you go to transform, you will see the option parse, and it has two options, XML and JSON. This option, this capability has been created keeping only this factor in mind, that you would be having the data in JSON XML format and how to handle that kind of format in Power BI. Now you will click on this column and you will select JSON because this is the JSON format. And now you can see a record has been created with a link. There's a link, right? Now click on this symbol and say, okay, all the data has been converted into a format automatically, right? Same with this, select XML, go to parse, say XML, a table has been created or record has been created, say okay, and it has been converted into a tabular format, right? If we talk about the environment of Power Query Editor, you can see only 4 tabs, but can you see a heavy ribbon at the top? Because it is providing you like full-fledged capabilities to transform and clean any kind of issues, any kind of data, right? It's a very heavy ribbon. When we talk about this Power Query Editor, what is it? Okay, let's understand the concept. So now, because I have given you 2 examples, you must be aware how we can use this tool. So Power Query Editor is the ETL of Excel. ETL is a concept in the market which actually got very, very good responses in the market since 2016, right? So these days, every tool which is getting launched in the market is having an ETL because that is the need of the hour. If you cannot clean a data, you cannot transform the data, how to analyze it. So this is the ETL tool of Excel now since 2016 onwards. So the full form of ETL is extract, transform, and load. Why this name? So basically we extracted the data here from Excel sheet, that is the E of ETL. Then we are performing transformations, that is the T of ETL. And whenever we are clicking on close and load, the updated, the transformed output is getting loaded into the Excel, right? So this is the ETL. Now Excel is having an inbuilt ETL. Inbuilt as in within the Excel, you can come to Power Query Editor, you can make the changes, and again, you can go back to Excel sheet, right? This is called inbuilt ETL. Same is the case with Power BI, but yes, like Tableau, it is not having any inbuilt ETL. This is the reason Power BI and Excel are on peak these days, because these have inbuilt ETL. Right? So everything like the very basic options of cleaning the data, you want to remove extra rows, you want to remove extra columns, you want to keep certain rows, you want to do group by, you want to split your column, any kind of basic changes you would be able to do from the home tab. When you go to transform tab, here you will get the options related to transformations of the data. Then if you want to add a new column in your data, you can add a new column from here using the add column tab. Then you have view, which is controlling the options like what exactly you want to show on your screen. For example, you clicked here, you closed it by mistake, you want it back. You will go to view and you will click on query setting, it will come back, right? You want to show the query dependencies. Query dependencies is nothing, but it is telling you like what all data you have imported here and where it is, right? So it is telling you the information about your queries. So same way, we have column distribution, which is giving you the information about the values in each and every column here, right? Here it is not giving you a lot of information like column distribution because we have only 4 rows. Column distribution can only be given when we have a lot of values and there is some distribution pattern in the values. So this is the reason it is not showing you any result. When you go to column profile, it will give you the column profile, like how many values are there, like count, errors, how many empty cells are there. So whichever column you will click on, it will give you the column profile of that particular column. Same way, you can check the quality of data by clicking on column quality, like 100% valid values. There is no error, no empty, right? Can you see this line color? This line color is the indication of the quality of data in your entire column. If there would be some error in the values, it will show some portion of the line as red. If it has empty values, it will show some portion of the line as black color. So very, very convenient tool. You can perform any kind of calculations here, right? Now coming back to two more case studies, like this is the output sheet being generated. I am saving it again, right? Now closing this, and I will talk about one more case study. Sorry. Rachel, give me a second. Okay, now, like for example, let me share my screen. Now, for example, we have data like this, right? So these blank cells does not mean that, we do not have any data in this. It means that these cells are referring to the value in the above cell. So here we want Central, here we want Johns, Anderson, Chen, East. Can we analyze this data without filling the information in these blank cells? No. How to fill it? Will we do it manually, like one by one? Copy this, paste it here, copy this, paste it here. Not feasible for the longer data set, right? What will we do? Again, we will go to Power Query Editor. And in the transform, you will get this option fill. So what will you do? You will select the columns where you have such values, null values, and you will say fill down. So this will be taken care automatically for any longer data set instead of doing manually one by one. This is another wonderful capability we have in Excel, right? So I'm going back. I will show you one more example and then we will move to data analysis in Excel, right? Okay, now look at my screen. For example, I am giving you this input data, and then I'm telling you, okay, go ahead in Power Query Editor and convert this data into this format, which is very, very organized, right? And simultaneously, we want automation also. Like whenever we would be adding more data here, we should get that automatically updated into this kind of output. What will we do? I will select this first of all, and I will go to Power Query Editor. Now you can see this is highly unorganized, right? The header is not at the right place and all that. Okay, so I would be selecting the range from here. Yeah, so this is the data. Now, if you look at the output, you will see we do not have Central and Bharati region in the output. So first of all, what will we do? I will go to remove rows and I will say remove bottom rows. How many? 3, because we do not want that. Done, right? Now I will go to remove rows, remove blank rows. So the null rows have gone. Very, very clean on 2 clicks, right? Now I want North and each every month together, like North Jan, North Feb, North March in single column, East Jan, East Feb, each March, basically the combination of region and months here. So I will This is the pivoted kind of pivot table column data. I will unpivot this. Now it has come here, but I do not want to unpivot my discount column. So I will undo, and which column I will select? I will only select months, right? And I will say unpivot. This time the discount is not coming, right? Now I will move my column, attribute column, as the second column. I will select both, right click, and I will say merge column. Now both the values will come in the same column. It is asking me what is the separator. For example, I want to put a hyphen. Now they have been merged, right? We have sales value, we have merged column, we have discount percentage, right? Now what we need to figure out, at looking at the output, we need to calculate the discount value, like 5% of 80, 5% of 100, like that. So we want to create a custom column. So I will go to add column, custom column. I want to create a new column, which is my discount value. So what is the formula for discount value? Value multiplied by discount percentage. I said, okay. Now the discount value is coming, right? How easy it is to create a new column. Like in Excel, whenever we are writing a formula in any cell to create a new column, we are dragging it down, till very, very bottom of the table. But here that things are taken care automatically, right? Now we want to add a conditional column where we need to mention that whenever we have the sales amount less than 50, we get low. If we have it between 50 to 100, medium, and above 100, it would be high, right? Again, we will go to add column, conditional column, and we will say, like for example, the name of the new column is level. I am saying if value is less than or equal to 50, then low, add another row. If sales value is greater than or equal to 100, high, else medium. So we could create 3 levels. When I say okay, this will be coming here. Now if you click on close and load and compare it with the output, you will see the same output has been generated, like this one or this one. So this is how you can handle the data in Power Query Editor, comparatively very, very easy as compared to Excel. I hope you are very, very clear with the capabilities of this tool, like what all it has to offer to you. Now I will take you to a data set and we would be doing data analysis in Excel. Okay, now this is the data set of a superstore in US. So the country would be same in the complete data because the superstore is present only in one country. But in one state, we have one store. So we have 48 stores available, and this is the data for 48 stores. Now you can see we have information related to orders, related to customers. I have differentiated the different type of information in different colors. Then we have information related to location of the stores. And then we have information about the products. And when we are talking about numerical values, we have 2 columns, sales and profit, right? Now we want to analyze this data. So the first step would be to clean and transform the data using Power Query Editor. The second step is to understand the data. Now you can see this order ID coming multiple times. Why? Because under this order ID, the customer ordered 4 products. This is the reason the order ID is coming 4 times. Okay, we have understood it. So it means one row is giving me one product information which has been sold by the store, right? Now, if we click on this table anywhere, can we see anything related to table here, like table tools or anything? No, it means this is a range. So there is a difference between a range, between a table. So this is a range. I will tell you how to identify and how to convert it into table, what are the benefits and all that, right? Now I'm going to a new sheet and I will be creating a basic pivot table. So I will go to insert and I'm clicking on pivot table. From where you want to create a pivot table, from a table or a range or from some external data source. So I want to create a pivot table from a range. So I clicked on it. Here I'm supposed to select the location where my data is, basically the range path, location, address of the range. I will go to it. I will put the cursor anywhere and I will press Control A. So Control A is the shortcut to select the complete data, right? I said, okay. Now it is giving me 4 fields to create a pivot table, and this is the area where the pivot table would be created. Now, for example, I want to show total sales for each and every segment. So I will take segment in rows. Now, whatever I would be taking in the rows, it would be coming as rows, right? I want to show total sales here, 1, 2, and 3. So what will I do? I will search sales here and I will take sales in values. Now it is showing me the total sales for each and every segment, right? I want to bifurcate these sales amount, for example, on the basis of ship mode. So I will take ship mode in columns. So whatever you would be taking in rows, it will come in the row. Whatever you would be taking in columns, it will come as columns here. And whatever you would be taking in values, it will be coming here in the values. Now what this filter is, like for example, you are taking city in filters. So a filter at the top will be created. Now, for example, you are selecting a particular city, say Akron, Allen, and you said, okay, now this table will be filtered for your selection here. And there is no upper cap on the number of filters. You can create a number of filters. Like for example, you are taking a state. So state filter has come here. So you can add as many filters as you want. So this is a very, very simple pivot table you have created. Now, what if you are going back to your master data here, and here you are adding some more data, right? Like for example, you are copying the same row, right? But you are changing the name of the segment to Bharti, right? Now what happened? You are going there, refreshing this data, the new row will not be updated here. It means this pivot table is not a dynamic pivot table. It's a static pivot table. Why? Because whenever you are making changes to the master data, your base data, your pivot table is not getting updated. So it means it's not dynamic. So what is the problem? The problem is when you click on the pivot table, you can see the pivot table analyze tool here. So go here, and here there is one option, change data source. When you click on it, you will see what is the last row, 10,004. And where we entered the new data, that is my 10,005th row. So that has not been covered in the range of the data using which we have created the pivot table. So when I change it to 5 and I say okay, and I refresh it, ideally that new row should come here. Why it is not coming here? This is 10,005. Let me go to the range again. Yeah, now it's 5, but it is not picking it up, right? Okay, now how to make it dynamic? Like every time we will not be going to pivot table analyze tool and changing the range manually whenever we would be updating the base data. So the way is that you select this data, go to home and click on format as table and choose any color and say okay. Now did you notice this data has table design tools at the top? It means now this is a table. Earlier it was a range, now it has been converted into a table. What is the benefit? I'm deleting this last row first of all, right? And you will notice whenever I am adding a new row, see, that automatically will be added in the table range. This is the benefit. How? See, I'm deleting this. As of now, 10,004 is the table. Now, if you go to table design tool, it has a name, by default name, table 1. You can change it name to any name, whatever you want. For example, I am giving it a name, orders. Right? Now this table, we can call it with a name. If now I am creating a pivot table, insert pivot table with the range orders, like for example, I am taking segment and I am taking sales, right? And now I am updating my base data. For example, I am adding a new row here, Bharti, and I am adding the sales amount, 100 rupees. Now, if you notice, this blue line has shifted down because this row automatically got included in my range. If I go to this pivot table and refresh this one, see, it has been updated. And why it was not getting updated? Because there was a city filter. Let me remove this filter, update it, because I changed the range later on, right? So this is how we can create a dynamic pivot table by converting a range into a table, correct? What are the benefits of converting it into a table? Now, for example, you want to add one more column, cost. What is the formula of cost? Sales minus profit. The moment I will write the name of the column and press enter, you will notice it has been included in the table automatically. You can see the color change. If I am writing the formula here, for example, sales minus profit, you can notice it is not giving me Q2 minus R2. It is giving me the names of the columns. So whenever you are converting your range into a table, it is offering you cleaner formulas. Number 3, when you press enter, you can notice you're not supposed to drag it down till bottom. The dragging has been taken care automatically, right? So these are some very, very wonderful benefits of table. You can call it with a name. We have table styles available. You can change it into any color the moment you want and all that, right? And another benefit is it is helping you to create a dynamic pivot table, right? Okay. Now, whenever you are clicking on pivot table analyze tools, you will see two options: insert slicer, insert timeline. When you click on insert slicer, and for example, you are taking city and saying okay, a filter has been created. If you are clicking on any city, the table will be filtered accordingly, right? If you want to select multiple cities together, you can do it with control key. See, I have pressed the control key and I can select multiple cities also. Same way, when you go to pivot table analyze tools and click on insert timeline, it will give you the options only related to date. For example, I am taking order date and I said, okay, now it will give you the options related to date. Like for example, quarters, years, months, and days. So you can take years also here. You can take quarters also. You can take months also, and so on. But there is one shortcoming in this. What is the shortcoming? You are selecting 1 year, working fine. If you are pressing shift key, you can select multiple years. That is also working fine. But what if you want to select non-linear years? That like you want to select 2014 and 17. So you cannot leave the in-between years. You have to select 14 and then some continuous years. You cannot select random years. This is a shortcoming. But otherwise, this timeline and this slicer are fully corrected with this pivot table. What is the shortcoming? The shortcoming is, for example, you are creating another pivot table. This time, for example, you are taking state and the respective problem. So you can see whenever I'm selecting the options in this slicer, this table is not changing. Why? Because this slicer and timeline actually belong to this pivot table. So does it mean that if I'm creating like 10 pivot tables in any report, then I have to create 10 slices and 10 timeline? That is not feasible. So what will we do? Every pivot table is having a name. What is the name of this pivot table? Pivot table 3, right? I will click on this slicer. I will go to slicer here and click on report connection and I will take pivot table 3. Same I will do with the timeline. I will go to timeline, report connections. I will take another pivot table. It means now this pivot table has also been connected with this timeline and slicer, right? Now you notice one thing. Whenever I'm selecting the option in this, this is also getting filtered. Whenever I'm selecting option in this, these are also getting filtered. So this is how you would be connecting the same timeline and same slicer with multiple pivot tables. I hope we are making sense till this time in the session. Tejal, no one joined? Okay. So this is what it is. Now, coming back to more points, like what all are the capabilities we have in pivot table. So for example, now I'm removing this. And for example, I am taking here, instead of state, I am taking subcategory. So subcategory, and for example, I want to take sales. Now you can see, like for example, we are sorting it in the order. And you can see the highest sales has been generated by phones, right? And so on. Can you see the difference between phones and fasteners here? Right? I'm removing that last row because this is the reason it is showing me the long data. This one. Going to the pivot table and I will immediately refresh it. Okay. That has gone. Now, can you see the difference between the sales amount of phones, which is my highest selling subcategory, and the lowest selling subcategory fasteners? Like it is very, very huge difference. So what is the difference? What is the percentage difference? Will be calculated manually. That is not feasible. What to do? I will right click and can you see this? Show value as I will take percentage difference from. When I do it, it will ask me which is the base category, like with which subcategory you want to compare rest of the subcategories. For example, I want to compare all the subcategories with storage. So here I will select storage and okay. And you can see that percentage change is coming here automatically, right? So this is another wonderful feature we have in Power Pivot Table, which you can use for doing the analysis also, right? Same way, like we have pivot table, we have pivot charts also. So I'm going to pivot chart, and this time again, I will be giving the name of the table. And this time it is going to give me two sections, one for pivot table and one for chart. So for example, I am taking segment and sales. So along with the pivot table, it will also create a chart, right? And by default, it will always create a column chart. This is a column chart. If you want to change the chart type, you will right click and you will click on change chart type, and you can change it to any kind of chart. So this is the bar chart. I'm changing it to bar chart, right? Now, what are other changes you would like to make in your chart? I will click on this plus. I want to show data labels. Now the data labels are coming. So by clicking on this plus, you would be able to access chart elements using which you can control like what all you want to show on your chart. Similarly, if you want to show change the color and all that, you will click on this brush and you will get two subsections here, style and color. If you go to style, you would be able to see the different chart styles. See, this is a very good one. Then this is on the black background and all that. You can go ahead with any one, whichever you want. If you go to color, there are color schemes available. You can go for any color, whatever you want, right? If you right click on it again, you have other various options as well, like select data, using which you can change the range. But because this chart is dynamic, so you will hardly need this. So this is what the chart is all about, right? If you are creating, you are going to pivot chart analyze tools here. The same options you have for the pivot chart also, like we had for pivot table. Insert slicer, insert timeline. You can create it and you can sync it, like connect it with multiple charts also. This can also be done. Now, what is the limitation of charts in Excel? If you right click on any chart and go to change chart type, like I will try to change it in all type of charts one by one. See, working fine, line, pie chart is working fine, bar working fine, area working fine. Now, what is the error you are getting for a scatter chart? You can't create this chart type with the data inside a pivot table. It means scatter chart is not supported with a pivot table, right? Same for map, stock chart, right? It has some different error because 3D chart is for different data set. We cannot create it on two set of datas, right? Radar is working fine. Tree map giving you the same error. It's giving you the same error, same. You cannot use a lot of charts with the data inside a pivot table. This is the shortcoming. So what is the solution? The solution is that you are taking this data outside pivot table like this. Let me copy this. Right? This is my segment. This is my total sales. Now I'm selecting this data, which is not a pivot table. Insert recommended charts. And you will notice whatever charts were not working earlier with the data inside the pivot table, they all are working fine now. See, all are working. It means if you want to use these charts, you cannot use a pivot table. But if you are using a plain table, it means this chart is not dynamic. Why? Because whenever you would be updating your base data, your pivot table will be updated automatically, but not this one. This is a normal plain table. So the chart which you are creating using this data will not be dynamic anymore, right? So this is the shortcoming, like you cannot create a fully dynamic dashboard or a report in Excel. Correct? Okay. Can we do forecasting in Excel? That is another question. Then we will come to combo chart. Okay. Now I am going to insert pivot table and I am taking this data orders, and here I am taking, for example, order date and sales. So you will notice that whenever I am taking order date here, we have got this bifurcated automatically into years, quarters, order date, but I want just years here. So I will remove rest of the things. Quarters I have removed, order days I have removed, these are years. Now I am copying these years outside, and this is my year and this is the total sales. Now some error came here. What this error is? It has been understood as a text. So I will convert it to the number and the error has gone. Now I select it, I go to data, and there is one option called forecast sheet. I click on this and it is asking me for how many years you want to forecast your sales. So as of now, I have the sales available from 4 years, 14, 15, 16, 17. And for example, I want to forecast my sales for the coming 3 years, 18, 19, and 20. So I will select year 20 and I said create. Now you will notice that my sales has been forecasted for the coming 3 years, 18, 19, and 20. So this is the forecasted sales. This is the lower bound and upper bound. Why we got the lower and upper bound? Because your sales cannot be very, very accurate. So it is giving you a range, like your sale will not go beyond this and this. It would be somewhere between this and this, and most probably this, right? So the past sales has been shown in a blue line, and the future sales, the forecast, the predictions have been shown in the red color. This is my upper bound. This is my lower bound. And if you will ask me, ma'am, what is the method which has been used at the backend to do this forecasting? Then the name of the method is regression analysis. So they have used regression analysis. It's a very wonderful way of forecasting your sales. The same has been used in Power BI also, because Power BI and Excel both are the tools of the same company, Microsoft. So they both have maintained this uniformity of using the same method in both the tools, right? Okay. Now, when to use combo chart? Because we have not talked about that chart at all. When to use combo chart? Right now I'm deleting this, not deleting this, let's keep it this way, and let's update this pivot table a bit. For example, in this case, I am taking segment and removing years, and I am taking sales, which I have already taken, and I will take profit. So it is showing me total sales, total profit for all the 3 segments. Now I need to figure out profit margin. How to figure out profit margin? Because the profit margin is not here. So I have to calculate it manually. So better to take this data out here. Like this is my segment, total sales, total profit. And here I would be calculating profit margin. So profit margin is equal to total profit divided by total sales multiplied by 100, right? So I will drag and I got the profit margin for all the 3 segments. Now, what if I want to plot total sales and profit margin on the single chart? These are absolute values and this is in percentage. Can we plot it on the same scale? No, we want 2 scale, one in absolute value, one in percentage. So whenever we want to plot such things on a chart where the scale is different, we have to use secondary axis. And whenever we are using secondary axis along with primary axis, that is called a combination chart or combo chart. Now, for example, I'm selecting this data, going to insert recommended chart, and I am selecting combo chart. Now see what is working. It has taken consumer, corporate, and home office here, which is wrong. I want a bar for total sales. I want another bar for total profit, and line I want for profit margin. How to correct it? So we have to correct it. Like I will create a chart, and I want line on the secondary axis. So I will take this, right? Now you can see one more axis has been created. Before clicking on this, only single axis was coming. As soon as I ticked it, the secondary axis came. I said, okay, but this is not correct, right? So I will right click and I will say select data. What exactly I want? I want to switch the rows and columns. Now, did you notice? I got blue total sales, red one for total profit, and for profit margin, I got the line. If you do not want to plot profit margin, you can untick this from here and it will go. Now, this is my total sales, the bars, and this is the profit margin. And we could easily create a combination chart showing 2 different kind of values, like these are the absolute values, this is the percentage, so on, right? Now, whenever we have done with all the pivot table, pivot charts, forecasting, combination chart, everything, all the analysis has been done. We have understood how to create a slicer, timeline, how to collect and all that. It's a time to design your report and a dashboard. So how to design a good dashboard? That is the question. So I will show you a sample and I will give you a few tips as well before we wrap up the session. Okay, so this is basically a dashboard created by me, or what we teach in the course whenever somebody is approaching to us for this course. So you can see we have three reports where we have kept our pivot tables, the analysis we have done. On the dashboard, we have shown all the charts very systematically, right? You can see we have the logo of the company, what is the currency of the data, what is the unit of the data, what is the data duration, from where we have collected the data, as in the data sources, right? Then these are the single figures. So these single figures are called KPIs, key performance indicators. Depending upon like you are analyzing the data for which department, of course, your KPIs are going to differ. Like for a sales manager, the KPIs would be what is the total sales, what is the profit margin, how many customers we have, how many stores we have, and all that, right? Now you can see I have connected all the three reports with the dashboard. So whichever report you will click on, it will take you to that particular report. And I hope you have understood the color theme I have followed. Like for example, you want to go into this sales figures pivot table. So which report you will go to? Sales report. Can you see the color, matching colors? If you want to go into the detail of the profit, you will go to profit report. If you want to go into the detail of the customers, you will go to customer report, right? And try to use different charts on a single dashboard. Do not make all the column chart, do not make all the bar charts. Like I have taken the variety. These are spark lines, combination chart, which we just created 5 minutes back. This is donut chart, pie, and this is bar chart. Conditional formatting I have used here. This is area chart. So you need to maintain that. And another tip, you have to number your charts. For example, your manager looked at your dashboard and he has some question in this chart, how he is going back to get back to you, how will he get back to you. So he can refer like chart number 3 and so on. So this numbering has a lot of use cases, right? And this is a single timeline which I have connected with everything in this dashboard. So whenever you will click on everything, anything, any year, it is going to change everything on your dashboard. So this is a kind of one-page dashboard. If you go to view and you turn these off, headings and formula, you will see the dashboard has shifted a bit up because we could save the space. And this is nice. Like we have not wasted any space. Everything has been used very nicely. All the options. These symbols have nothing to do with Excel. They have been added only for the beautification purpose, because it is showing you the goal, raising the flag and doing everything correct and all that. So it gives you a lot of positive, positive vibes and motivation. So this is the only aim of this. So apart from this, in your dashboard, you can add a user guide also. Like for example, we are buying a washing machine. We always get a user manual with like how to use it, right? So if you are making few assumptions in your data set, if you want to convey anything else also before your manager is going to the dashboard or trying to understand the dashboard, you can write down everything in the user manual, which will be called your dashboard manual, right? After creating this report and dashboard, if you think you have few suggestions also to give to your manager, like why you analyze this data, what is the insight, what uh, actions the corporate should take on the basis of your analysis, what are the problem areas, how to resolve them. You want to come up in a theoretical report in text format. So you can add one more sheet with the name suggestions or conclusions and suggestions, and you can mention everything there also. So your dashboard manual, your base data, your reports and dashboard, and then finally insights and conclusions or suggestions. It is going to make a complete report for your manager. So this is what we cover in Excel when we are talking about data analysis in Excel. And this is the whole journey, like from data cleaning to data transformation to data analysis to report to dashboard to suggestions. So I think this is all. Nothing left